I want to ask about just, I know it's a detailed part of this, but I mean, you were a commanding general and I most definitely was not, so you would know and I wouldn't. All the equipment we left behind, that was such a hot talking point at the time for myself and others, and I'm still staggered by that. I mean, we left them Black Hawks and NVGs and secure comms. That seems like such a, and I know this isn't a word, an unmilitary way to get out. How does something like that happen?
I just have to say that I think we were the precipitous withdrawal, the hasty withdrawal, the somewhat unplanned, I would say, withdrawal left a large amount of equipment, as you said, Jesse. And as we've talked about before, I just want to also point out that there was a report, and just this last week from the Congress that some amount of the equipment went with Afghan commandos and special forces into Iran. Iran's no friend of the United States, and there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to take a hard look at not only the skill sets that those Afghan commandos had, because we trained them, and the special forces, but then also the equipment that they took along with them over into Iran. I mean, right now you see, and I said this before, I think on your show, is that, the Taliban went from a pretty not well-equipped insurgent force to a pretty darn well-equipped national force for whatever you want to call their Islamic emirate. They've got a lot of equipment. As you said, they've got aircraft. Probably more importantly, they've got things like mortars and artillery, more small arms than any country of this nature would normally have, and they got ammunition. And then they got some great bases. We built them the bases, we left them, and we departed. I don't think that this was intentional. I think we made huge errors. Well, if it was intentional, it was a rigged mistake, as you've already pointed out.
General, what's the right way to go about it? Okay, we're leaving. President orders everyone out. You got to do what you're told, but you're given a little bit of a time frame. What's the appropriate way? Do you destroy all that stuff? You load it all up on a plane? But how do you make sure this doesn't happen?
Yeah. Well, here was the problem, and I'm not making excuses for anybody, but the whole plan from the previous administration had been that it was conditions based, and the truth is this administration chose in April of 21 that it would be unconditional. So there were no conditions on the Taliban. And meanwhile, the Afghans, they're asking to, hey, look, stay here as long as you possibly can. They weren't a part of any detailed part of that diplomatic negotiation between the Taliban and the administration of the United States, nor was NATO, nor was our largest ally in the country, the UK. So this all happens within a space of about 3 or 4 months. You don't have enough time to ship it out of there, and so you end up destroying a large amount of it. We obviously didn't do that. Part of the reason, and from what I understand from my friends that are still on active duty, were on active duty then, is the intent was to try to make sure that it all transferred to the Afghan army. Did they plan that the Afghan army would fold and give this stuff right over to the Taliban.
Don't miss Jesse Kelly Breaks History, Che Guevara, the latest episode of a new series available now exclusively for First TV supporters. Visit the First TV app or thefirsttv.com to subscribe and start watching today.